Hello everyone, welcome back to my recaps of the local tournament at the club. Today I'm going to show you a game that I played against one of my friends again, and I was playing with the black pieces, and in this game the particularly interesting part came in the end game because it was an equal one, and still one of us managed to win. And I like to refer to this as like playing like Magnus Carlsen, because he also squeezes out victories out of seemingly equal positions. And he is the #1 rated player in the world. So let's begin. He played e4. I played c5, the Sicilian defense, which is mathematically proven to be the most successful opening for black. So that's why I played, to have the most chances. Then d3, the closed Sicilian, and knight f6. Or knight c6, sorry. Knight f3 and knight f6, just development. Then g3, g6, to develop our bishops on the long diagonals, but his pawns are blocking the light square bishop if he decides to put it on g2. I haven't yet committed my central pawn, so my bishop would be better on the open diagonal than his. Then c3, perhaps to play queen c2 or to try to play for d4. It's a multi-purpose move. And then I played d6, because he might have the idea of playing d4. So to sort of try to make d4 as painless as possible for myself. Bishop g2, bishop g7, castles, castles. So far this has been normal development, and there is nothing much to say. Bishop g5, bishop g4. Here again, we played the same move, but mine is more effective as I haven't moved my e-pawn yet, so the knight is not pinned. But he has moved his e-pawn, so the knight is pinned, and I have potential ideas of increasing the pressure on the f3 knight. So he played knight bd2 to further protect the knight on f3, and I played knight e5 to increase the pressure. Here a move like queen b6 instead of knight d5 or knight e5 would be worse, arguably, because you are never going to win the pawn on b2, and even if you take it, he has rook b1, and when you take the a2 pawn, then your b7 b7 pawn will hang, and he gets it with activity and with pressure on the e7 pawn. So pawns like that on b2, b7 are not, or g2, g7, in case of long castles, aren't really that good to take. And knight e5 it has also the idea of pressuring the d3 pawn in addition to pressuring the knight. Let's see how he solved this. He played bishop takes f6. I took bishop takes f6. And he played d4. I took c takes d4. C takes d4. And knight c6. He played d5. I returned back. Queen e2 was played, and queen d7. The idea of queen e2 is very likely to connect the rooks, but he is still staying in the pin, which is bad for him. So he should have instead maybe gone like, well, okay, he goes queen d2, but next in e2, but next move I would play queen e3 to get out of that pin. I played queen d7 to potentially have the idea of bishop h3 and to trade off the light squared bishops. Although I have the bishop pair, so this doesn't really work much in my favor, because when you have the bishop pair, which you'll see that I kept until the endgame, you shouldn't trade off your bishops, because the bishops work well together and they don't work well if you only have one and a knight, for example. So rook a c1, rook a c8, and knight takes e5. Here you can't take the queen as black, because if you take, then he will take on d7. You can take the rook, so you have a queen and a rook for now. For a queen and a piece, but your rook is attacked and your bishop is attacked on f1 and your bishop on f6. So I didn't really want to get into all of this, so I just took bishop takes e5, which is by far the simplest approach to the problem. And he played knight to f3, defending his queen, which was attacked, as well as defending the b2 pawn, which was attacked as well. And now after bishop g7, because he can again use the same tactic to capture my bishop, and I want to keep the bishop pair, so bishop g7, he played rook takes c8. Now, he doesn't have, his rook isn't defended by any other piece other than the rook from f1, so he can't potentially recapture the file after he trades, which means that this trade is bad for him, because if he trades, I have my queen on d7 controlling the c8 square, so I can very easily just move my rook over, and therefore he is surrendering the file. So this isn't a good exchange for him, but I was very happy to see this. because now I had control of the only open file, and it would take at least 2 moves for him to regain control of the file. So he played rook b1, which was a very passive move. I mean, you never want to play your rook behind a pawn just to guard it. If it's to advance it down the board, then okay, but just to guard it like this, to protect it, is very bad. But he was probably afraid of bishop takes b7 b2 at some point. So I played queen a4 to pressure the pawns on e4 and a2. He played b3, and I played queen a3. Now he played h3 to attack my bishop, but I don't have to move it. I have an in-between move, as a check is more powerful than the capture of a bishop. So now he has to take. Rook takes c1, queen takes, and king h2. Now I moved my bishop to d7 because it was attacked, and he played the queen c4. Here I'm basically forced to trade the queens, and even though I was looking at moves like queen b2 and maybe also like queen a1 to attack some pawns, it just doesn't work because of queen c7, where he attacks my pawn and my bishop. I have to move my bishop to either b5 or e8, and he just can pin me. That's one reason why I didn't go into this. And the other is that I have way too many pawns on the 7th rank that he can just gobble, and I'll be at least 2 pawns down. So I just ended up trading after a very long think, because it's just I didn't want to trade the queens, because obviously when queens are on the board you have better chances of attacking, but I didn't see another option. So he played b takes c4, as I just played, recapturing the queen, and I played king f8. He played knight d2, I played king e8, f4, king d8, knight f3, back, king c7, and notice how I'm activating my king while his is still on the edge of the board. Please, in the endgames, you need to activate your king. It's a piece just like the bishops or the knight, and it should be active and play some role in the end game, because then if you don't do it, then you're just down a piece effectively. So he played knight f3, king c7, and e5. I played h6 because here he might here he could have gone maybe knight to g5. Let's calculate it together. Knight to g5 attacks two pawns at the same time, so he could have maybe won a pawn. What if I play f3 and he takes, or f6 and he takes on h7? Then he can't go anywhere, and he would very probably have to make the escape route with his pawns. But I mean, I was afraid of this, but I don't know whether it works or not. It probably doesn't, because he has his knight out of the play, and I can win it, maybe. So it's just bad, but okay, I was afraid of it, but he didn't even play it because he was afraid of it too, that his knight would get trapped. So he played e5, I played h6 to prevent this knight g5 idea forever. Bishop f1 and king b6. His king's still on h2, should take part in the game. E takes d6, e takes d6, bishop d3, and king c5. You should always look for these weak squares in front of backwards pawns, so that you can place your pieces there. Unless he checks my king with the knight, I'm safe there. And I can put pressure on the c4 pawn. He played g4. Here I was very afraid of f5, because that would mean that my pawns are on f7 and h6, and that they are like apart and weak. So I played bishop f6 to disallow knight h4. Then he played g5, I played h takes g5. He took knight takes g5 to attack the pawn on f7. I played king d4. Always look for in between moves, like moves that are unexpected, that are like not what your opponent would expect. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold. Let's just sorry. Let's get back to the game. I played king d4 because he probably wasn't expecting it, and it activates my king further. And he played bishop f1 back. I played bishop takes g5, he played pawn takes. And now I played a5. And the plan is basically to push the a pawn up the board as far as possible, and then go with the king, capture the white a pawn, and then queen mine. So let's see how this works. So a5, king g3 finally, a4, a3, king c3, bishop e2, king b3, c5. Here I could have just let it stand, but I decided to capture. He played d6. I took on a3, and then he played bishop g4 to attempt to trade my bishop. Probably what surprised him was that I played bishop e8, effectively saying that if he pushes d7 I sacrifice my bishop and I have 3 pawns for the piece, which is more than enough. And that's what ended up happening. d7, bishop takes, c4, king f3, c3, king e2, king b3, king d3, and c2, and now I'm just guaranteed to make a queen, and maybe the only attempt he has is bishop takes a4, check. So he played that, bishop takes a4, king takes a4, king takes c2, b5, king b2, king b4, then h4, king c4. Now I just make my way over to the other pawns, and he has to first deal with the passed pawn before he can deal with my king invasion. So h4, king c4, king c2, king d4, king b3, e4, b4, f4, he takes, I move closer, he played king c6, I played king takes h4, king d5, takes, and now he played this on for a little bit, but this is just lost for white. So king e4, f5 check, king f3, f4, king g2, g4, king f2, f3, f1 and g3, g1, f2 check, king f1, and now important is to go g5. You never want to go king f3 because that's stalemate, ending in a draw. Now this is forced, king e2, king g2, and here he resigned because I know how to checkmate with a queen or with a rook or whatever I make. I can even make two bishops. It's just lost. And so this is how I won a seemingly equal endgame. And I'm still on track to winning the tournament overall. So wish me luck.